In Israel and has some breaking news for us now. Trey.
Yeah, John, air raid sirens just sounded across Tel Aviv, Israel's second largest city. The Iranians have started their response. I just received a text message from a source in Tehran.
A US Navy base in Bahrain appears to have come under attack. This vision on your screen showing smoke.
At 4:38 in the morning, the Al-Qadr missile lifts off from a mobile launcher hidden 900 meters east of the carrier strike group. The hot exhaust punches through the dark sky, lighting up every heat-sensing satellite watching the Persian Gulf in real time. The missile climbs to 93 miles above Earth in under 3 minutes, arcing southwest toward the Strait of Hormuz on a path aimed directly at the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. It is aimed at something. That is entirely the point. 70 miles to the north, the launch is already detected. But this time, the decoy worked. The Gettysburg's vertical launch system just fired a $28 million SM-3 at a $3 million distraction. Her missile cells are not empty, but they are one round lighter. Her crew is 90 seconds into celebrating a clean kill, and the real weapon is already in the air. The Al-Qadr carries a maneuvering reentry vehicle. Think of it this way, a regular ballistic warhead is like a rock thrown in an arc. You can figure out where it will land before it gets there. A maneuvering reentry vehicle is like a rock that changes direction on the way down. The math that lets you predict where it will land stops working in the final 30 seconds of flight. And 30 seconds is a very long time in missile defense. The Al-Qadr's total flight time from launch to impact is approximately 9 minutes. 9 minutes. That is how long the United States Navy has to find it, identify it, figure out its path, assign an interceptor, fire, guide, and destroy a warhead that can change direction at 8 times the speed of sound during the last 40 seconds of flight. The USS Leyte Gulf picks it up first. Her SBY-6 radar, newer and more powerful than the Gettysburg Spy-1, locks onto the Al-Qadr's boost phase at 4:38 a.m. and 40 seconds. The track goes to the carrier strike group's command network instantly. The Gettysburg sees it too. Both ships begin working the problem at the same time. But here is the first problem. The geometry is difficult. The Al-Qadr is not coming from 70 miles away. It is coming from 900 meters to the east, on a completely different angle than the decoy. The SM-3 intercept window is at the very edge of its range. The math comes back ugly. The Gettysburg switches to SM-6. 6 minutes remain. Aboard the Eisenhower, the air boss clears the flight deck. 2F divided by a -18E Super Hornets that were 90 seconds from launching are pushed back toward the ship's tower. Their mission was a routine armed patrol south of the strait. That mission no longer exists. The flight deck crew, 19 and 20-year-old sailors working with 60,000-pound aircraft on a moving steel surface, switches from launch operations to defense mode in under 2 minutes. Fuel hoses pull back. Weapons carts roll away. The organized process that normally launches an attack group runs itself in reverse. The Ike's close-range defenses power up. 2 RIM, 116 rolling airframe missile launchers and 3 phalanx CWS mounts, radar-guided Gatling guns that are the very last line of defense before impact, all switch to automatic firing mode. Each phalanx fires 75 rounds per second. Each round is a 20mm tungsten bullet. If the Al-Qadr's warhead gets within 2 miles of the Eisenhower, the phalanx guns will try to destroy it. But the warhead will be traveling at about 6,100 miles per hour at that point, and the phalanx can only fire at it for less than 3 seconds at that speed. Iran designed the Al-Qadr's flight path for exactly this problem. The maneuvering reentry vehicle does not begin its final steering adjustments until it drops below 80,000 feet. Above that altitude, it looks like every other ballistic warhead on a predictable arc. The fire control radars aboard the Gettysburg and the Leyte Gulf can model its path with confidence. They can guide their interceptors toward a point in space where the warhead and the interceptor should meet. But below 80,000 feet, the Al-Qadr's warhead starts pulling sideways moves of up to 15 gs, shifting its landing point by hundreds of meters per second. The predicted intercept point stops being a point.
It becomes a cone, then a cloud.
The Iranian engineers who built this system studied every public intercept test the United States Missile Defense Agency ever published.
They watched the videos.
They read the post-test reports. They knew the SM-6 was designed mainly for cruise missiles and aircraft that can only turn at 9 or 10 gs at most. They built a warhead that pulls 15. The gap between what the American interceptor can handle and what the Iranian warhead can do is very small. And the Iranians bet everything that small gaps favor the attacker.
4 minutes remain.
The Gettysburg fires 2 SM-6 missiles one after another, 4 seconds apart. $8.6 million leaves the ship in under 5 seconds. Both missiles race southeast on solid rocket boosters before switching to their ramjet engines, climbing to meet the Al-Qadr as it begins coming down. The fire control radar aboard the Gettysburg is now locked onto the Al-Qadr, sending path updates to both interceptors through their data links twice every second. 300 meters to the east, the Leyte Gulf contributes something the Iranians did not plan for. Her SBY-6 radar is operating from a completely different angle. She cannot shoot at the Al-Qadr, but she can see it from an angle the Gettysburg cannot match. The two ships switch to Cooperative Engagement Capability mode, CEC, a system that allows one ship's radar to guide another ship's missiles. The Leyte Gulf's radar data combines with the Gettysburg's in real time, creating a three-dimensional picture of the Al-Qadr's position that is updated faster and more accurately than either ship could do alone. When the warhead begins its final moves below 80,000 feet, the combined picture does not fall apart into a cloud. It tightens into an oval shape, still uncertain, still moving, but smaller than the Iranians had calculated.
2 minutes remain.
The Al-Qadr's warhead drops through 80,000 feet and starts pulling hard. 7 GS left, then 12 GS right. Then a complex weaving pattern that looks random, but is actually a pre-programmed sequence designed to fool straight-line prediction systems. The first SM-6 adjusts its flight path, chasing the updated track from the combined radar picture. It is closing in at a combined speed of about 10,000 miles per hour. At that speed, a 50-meter miss is still a miss. The warhead pulls a sharp 14G turn to the south.
The SM-6 follows.
It explodes its blast fragmentation warhead 11 meters from the Al-Qadr's reentry vehicle.
11 meters.
At those closing speeds, 11 meters is right on the edge. The tungsten pieces spread out in a cone. Some of them hit the reentry vehicle's outer shell. The Al-Qadr's warhead does not explode, because it was never carrying a traditional explosive. It is a solid metal slug designed to punch through a flight deck using nothing but its own speed. But the metal fragments damage its steering fins.
The fins that
allow the 15G turns are partly destroyed.
The warhead is still falling.
It is still traveling at over 5,800 miles per hour, but it can no longer steer.
1 minute remains.
The second SM-6 is 14 seconds behind the first. It receives the updated track from both ships. The Al-Qadr's warhead, now tumbling slightly with damaged fins, is an easier target than it was 30 seconds ago. The second interceptor does not need to chase a turning object. It needs to hit a fast-moving but predictable one. The SM-6's built-in active radar locks onto the warhead at 8 miles and guides itself to a direct hit.
The kill is from impact.
The warhead breaks apart at 62,000 feet above the Persian Gulf, scattering pieces that will take 4 minutes to fall into empty water 9 miles northeast of the Eisenhower. On the Eisenhower's bridge, the Air Defense Coordinator announces that the incoming track has been destroyed. The entire engagement, from the Al-Qadr's launch to its destruction, lasted 8 minutes and 47 seconds. Iran fired its best missile. It carried their most advanced maneuvering warhead. It used a decoy to drain the defender's attention. It launched from close range to shrink the response window. It pulled 15 GS in its final descent to defeat the interceptors. Every part of the plan was smart. Every part of the plan worked, right up until it met two ships sharing one radar picture fast enough to track a warhead the size of a trash can moving at Mach 8. The Al-Qadr cost $12 million to build. The two SM-6 missiles that destroyed it cost $8.6 million combined. On paper, the math finally worked in Iran's favor. In reality, the Eisenhower was never touched. 17 minutes after the Al-Qadr breaks apart, 2F divided by a -18E Super Hornets launch from catapults 1 and 2. They carry a combined 8 joint direct attack munitions, GPS-guided bombs that cost $25,000 each. Their target is the mobile launcher 900 meters east of the carrier group. Satellite images captured the launch signature. The coordinates are already loaded. The Super Hornets will cover the distance in under 4 minutes at full power. The launcher, which cost more to build than the warehouse that once hit it, is about to receive $200,000 worth of guided bombs. The United States does not do equal response. It does unforgettable response. 40 miles south of the Eisenhower, the destroyer USS Gravely has been quietly tracking an Iranian Qadr-class midget submarine since 3 a.m. The Qadr weighs 120 tons when underwater, is 29 meters long, and costs about $15 million to build. It was slowly moving toward the eastern shipping lane of the strait, positioned to fire one of its 2 torpedoes if the carrier showed damage from the Al-Qadr strike. It did not show damage. The Gravely's SQQ-89 sonar system has been tracking the Qadr at a distance of 11 nautical miles for 97 minutes. The submarine does not know it is being tracked. After the Al-Qadr engagement, the Gravely receives permission to attack. She drops 2 Mark 54 lightweight torpedoes from her MH-60R Seahawk helicopter, which has been flying at low altitude with its sonar device in the water. Each Mark 54 costs about $600,000. The Qadr hears the first torpedo at about 900 meters and tries an emergency dive. The Persian Gulf at that location is 74 meters deep. There is not enough water below the Qadr to escape and not enough distance to hide. The first torpedo locks onto the submarine at 400 meters and explodes within range to destroy it. The second torpedo trailing 800 meters behind confirms the kill on a target that is already breaking apart. The Qadr cost $15 million. Its crew of 18 trained for 2 years to operate it. The 2 torpedoes that destroyed them cost $1.2 million combined and were dropped from a helicopter that had been watching them for an hour and a half. Iran played the cost game in every direction that morning and lost in every direction that mattered. At 5:14 a.m. local time, the 2 Super Hornets reached the launcher coordinates east of the carrier group. The mobile launcher is still there, hot and empty, but intact enough to confirm the site. The lead pilot drops 4 dams in a box pattern. The wingman follows with 4 more. 8 500-pound bombs hit within a 40-meter circle in under 3 seconds. The launcher, 2 support vehicles, and a communications trailer are completely destroyed. The craters will be visible on public satellite images by noon. Iran's state media will call it an unprovoked attack on civilian equipment. The satellite photos will show the burn pattern of a ballistic missile launch pointing directly out of the site. By 5:30 a.m., the Eisenhower has gone back to flight operations. The deck crew is launching the patrol mission that was interrupted 53 minutes earlier. The 2 Super Hornets that were pushed back from the catapults are now in the air, heading south over the strait as if nothing happened. The Gettysburg is reloading her vertical launch cells from the ammunition ship sailing 30 nautical miles to the southeast. Each SM-6 reload takes about 40 minutes. The Gettysburg will have her full supply back within 6 hours. Iran will need 14 months to build another Al-Qadr. The entire engagement lasted 9 minutes from the first launch to the last intercept. Iran fired its most advanced missile, deployed 1 submarine, and carried out a plan that was genuinely well thought out. It cost them a $12 million missile that represents their best publicly known maneuvering reentry technology, a $15 million submarine, 18 trained sailors, a mobile launcher, and whatever was left of the idea that a single perfectly designed weapon could defeat a network defensive system. The United States spent $8.6 million in interceptors, $200,000 in guided bombs, and $1.2 million in torpedoes. Total American spending was just over $10 million to defend a carrier strike group worth more than $30 billion. The people doing the math in Tehran spent 14 months designing an attack built around the idea that 1 perfect weapon could break through 1 perfect defense. The people doing the math in Washington spent 9 minutes showing that they were not holding 1 defense. They were holding a network. Iran built a sword sharp enough to cut through any single shield. The Americans were not holding a single shield. The Eisenhower's battle group did not barely avoid a disaster that morning. It processed 1, identified the threat, assigned the resources, destroyed the weapon, sank the submarine, destroyed the launch site, and went back to normal operations before most of the crew finished breakfast. The 9 minutes cost Iran a generation of missile development and confirmed that the price of attacking a carrier strike group is not measured in dollars. It is measured in what you no longer have when the morning is over. If you enjoyed this video, check out our other video on how the US Navy's Aegis system actually tracks and destroys ballistic missiles in real time. Bye for now.